will grow. Amid the disasters of the time, more and more eyes are turning towards her with hope, and there is even an increasing resort not only to her teachings but to her psychic and spiritual practice. Sanatana Dharma, if you look at the etymology, Sanatan is that which is eternal. Nothing can be eternal which is not universal also. Sri Aurobindo says that. It has been the privilege of the Indian nation to be the guardians of Sanatana Dharma. Geographically, we have been protected by the seas and the mountains, and we've been able to hold it for a very, very long time. Why eternal? Because this is a dharma which started way back in the beginnings of time. It was not started by a single individual or an event. It goes way beyond that. We just had an example. We had Sadhguru reaching out all over the world, exactly what Sri Aurobindo says. Just a living example. So it's very strange that this preceded our session, because it gives us a certain context of how India is in a very subtle and very strong and a very pervasive way entering into every nook and corner of the world. The mother says dharma means the law, but she says to her it also means the truth. That takes this word dharma beyond common understanding into a certain depth. And when we say Sanatana Dharma, we have to understand that it is beyond culture, beyond religion, beyond a mental, I would say, script or a language or even a way of life. The easiest thing to say is a way of life, and we probably hide behind that. But it's time now for us to, like Mallika says, take a deep dive into everything that is around us, and then find that somewhere deep down there is this joyful oneness out there. So, Mangal would like to start with something about the Matri Mandir.
I'm not a very good speaker. Normally I am on the other side. Today, somehow, when we are connected to the mother, we land into situations where we want to run away from, till we overcome it. This has been my experience and the experience of many whom I know. So I'll just start with something that was told to me by a Russian, and it's very interesting. It has connection with all dharmas. So we are just standing outside Matri Mandir. So he said, one architect who has been studying all the spiritual structures of the world, that is the masjids, the temples, the churches, and even Nataraj, all these statues, they have golden proportions. Those who are into architecture, they would know. They are golden proportions. So he took the drawings from the engineers who were developing the Matri Mandir structure, and he came back with his finding that I am amazed with this structure, that it has all the golden proportions of all the religions of the world. This is something very interesting. And mother had just given that sketch on a paper. So here in Auroville, we have aspirations from all over the world, and Matri Mandir is a reflection of all those religions or all those faiths also. So it's one faith finally, what's here. So that is it, and I'm sure others would have their own experience in Matri Mandir. Then one thing he came back with finding, he says there are pillars in the meditation hall and they're not touching the sky. I have not understood this. So this gave him some more calculations and drawings. And then the finding was the energy that is generated in that chamber is so strong that a human body cannot bear it. If those pillars are there, they will break that energy and you will be able to bear it. And I know of many guests who have come, who have gone in, somehow they felt very heavy. Just for short moments, when they came out, they have vomited also, in spite of the pillars. So if pillars were not there, our body would not have been able to bear that energy. That was his finding. This was told, I have not seen it recorded anywhere, but this was told to me personally by a Russian. Now maybe Basu can take over.
So looking at the Matri Mandir, way back we were involved in a project connected to Auroville. There was, as Auroville goes through certain phases, to put it mildly, this was something about the concept of Matri Mandir as such. Not the inner chamber, but the externals. And there was a small, I think there was a, how would I put it, a workshop where children were asked to imagine how the Matri Mandir would look from outside there. And people and children do creepers and stuff like that. Very, very interesting. But what's very typically an Indian thought is, an Indian temple has this multiplicity of figures on the outside, which totally confuse you, totally confuses a mind which is not aware of the different stories, the Puranic stories and the Vedic stories and all that. But when you go inside, there is one deity. So this multiplicity of life, which sort of concentrates into one single deity within the temple. And Matri Mandir interprets that in a very novel way. You have the multiplicity of life, which is supposed to be, I mean, we would aspire to be it to be a very rich life all around Matri Mandir. But when you go in, there is that one single light out there, 24/7. That itself, this symbolism that is there, I think this is what actually appeals to people beyond religion. Unity of religions, yes, but unity of religions in one abiding truth. The mother had once said that the Matri Mandir already exists at the time of construction. It has only to be precipitated. I keep asking myself quite often these last few months, you know. One day in 1956 in the playground there was a meditation, and the mother afterwards recounts about the golden door, the golden hammer, she breaking the door, the light coming in, and she said the supramental had descended. Now, very few were aware of it at that time. Probably less than a dozen people were aware of it. But she celebrated that day, 1960, 1964, 68, and 72, the 29th of February. She called it the Golden Day. Perhaps it's time for us to awaken ourselves to the fact that such an event was not a poetic movement. It was a manifestation. And all the turmoil that we see on the earth today between religions is like this whole churning that is coming out, and something new is going to be built, and it's very evident that something new is going to be built. It is extremely difficult to have either an ashram or the city of truth without a living guru. As such, historically, religions have broken away when the guru was not there, or let's say ashrams were broken away. I had people coming to me and telling me, this ashram cannot survive because the gurus have left. The very fact that not only have we survived well, we have progressed, and today we see here a certain concrete manifestation of so many of the ideas that Mother had just almost an embryo form given to us there. But coming back to the Sanatana Dharma, and India had a very rich life at that time there. And we happened to lose it over the last 2,000 years. And we were awakening back to the truth of the country and the truth of Bharatvarsha. It's very interesting to see that in every sphere of life, India is penetrating into that. Not only in a World Yoga Day, which is gone all over the world completely. It's not celebrated one day, not only in languages like Sanskrit, which is now being taught in almost every major country of the world. There are chairs for Sanskrit. It's supposed to be the mother religion of a mother language of this country. We were in college at that time, and the mother declared that Sanskrit is the natural language of India. And so we started off in the ashram teaching Sanskrit, but we started off teaching Sanskrit in a simplified form at the kindergarten level. So we have only 2 languages and 2 subjects in kindergarten, Sanskrit and French. We come to primary, we have English and mother tongue. The software is done, totally. Hardware has to be plugged in. What we noticed was, in a very practical way, this was introduced in our education system. Today, the scientific community says that Sanskrit is the most scientific language that has ever been created. That's way beyond pedagogy, completely out there. If you look at the world of industry, you find Indians penetrating all over. Perhaps as an aspect of Sanatana Dharma out there, since Sanatana Dharma is all life. So we are penetrating elsewhere. Such leaders are bringing in the concepts that they have learnt in their childhood and youth in the country and bringing it to practice across extremely structured corporations. And this penetration of a certain way of thinking is taking those corporations into a flexibility of action. And then you have suddenly something called artificial intelligence, which actually should be more intelligent than artificial, really speaking. It should be something that supports mankind going over and not a movement towards mechanization of stuff as such there. So for us personally, Sanatana Dharma has been somewhere in the back of our minds, something always there, etc. and all that. And it's in the last few years, probably because there is an advent of a new light, that this is also spreading all across the world, totally. If we look at just the concept of unity of religions, we happen to be sitting in the unity pavilion as such. So things are happening in a very concrete way, probably not so evident to everybody. It takes time out there. But when I see someone like Sadhguru, there are other religious leaders like Sri Ravi Shankar, reaching out across the world, creating a community that is transnational, beyond boundaries, beyond, I would say, beyond codified laws and rules. That is truly the success of Sanatana Dharma happening in real time out there.
For me, Sanatana Dharma, or I call it Dharma for me, is what the experiences I have had for myself. One is when we surrender ourselves to their grace, there are certain things that happen magically. I'll just share 1 or 2 examples. I used to play tennis as a youngster, and I had a dream of going to Wimbledon and watching it one day. So my friend told me that our banker gives us tickets, you can go. So I went we booked the tickets, then suddenly his phone comes, this year the bankers did not give due to whatever reasons. So then he said, we have anyway booked the ticket, we will go, let's see. Me and my son, we went there. Only thing I did was, before going, I just prayed at the Samadhi, mother going to Wimbledon with no tickets. That's all. And we went to Wimbledon, no tickets available. Then there is a line there where you can go and sit. And those who go out, those tickets you can get at very low cost. So we were sitting in the line for 1 hour. And they'd open the door when the tickets are, that was a very important match, Nadal and Murray that time. So they opened the match and they gave only, my son was sitting and I was sitting somewhere else because I had some operation just before going. So they said, no, you will not get a ticket because you are not sitting in the line. I said, but I had an appendix operation. They said, no, many here have appendix operations. Please don't give us that story. That's the exact thing that happened. Then he got one ticket and we were just discussing how should we go, one ticket, and both of us love tennis. How do we share? Then suddenly someone was sitting right in front, two ladies from Mexico or somewhere they had come. Suddenly they came, they heard our talk. They said, you have come from so far, India and all. She gave the ticket. She has sat for 2 hours with us in the line. She gave the ticket. We were so excited, we just started chatting. We forgot to thank her. Then suddenly we remembered to thank her. We turned. She was not there at all. That girl who gave us the ticket. She was not there. So for me, it is grace working. And I had prayed and gone. So such incidents. And another incident is when we went to watch China Olympics. We didn't have any tickets that time. 4 of us, 4 friends. One friend is here, Lalit. He was there. We didn't have any ticket. We went there with no tickets, and then somehow we got the best of tickets. Maybe Lalit, you want to share that? I think he should share his experience. They have heard you enough. Okay. So, but you see how grace works. There also, what we did was, before going, since we don't have tickets, whether should we go or not go? How should we decide? We did a changing. I think most of you understand Hindi, I'll explain also. We took out a coin and I tossed it. I said, Maa ka naam leke toss karo, agar if it comes, we go, otherwise we don't go. It came that we go with no tickets, and there we got the best of tickets and all got organized. So somehow when we are open, we surrender. That according to his dharma for me.
Just to wrap up, Sanatana Dharma would probably work better if we paid more attention to the concept of Swadharma out there. After all, any collection, any nation is a collection of its citizens as individuals. And this is probably, as the mother calls it, or Sri Aurobindo calls it, the hour of God, probably the right time for us to explore much deeper how we could express our own Swadharma as such. To be able to dive deep within ourselves, to discover the reason of existence, to discover one's purpose in the world, and to pursue that relentlessly. That would probably, if sufficient number of people did it, it becomes a movement, it becomes a force, it becomes unstoppable, and I suppose we align ourselves with what the mother really wanted us to do, whether as an individual, as a family, as a collective, as a village, as a city, as a town, as a country out there. So, going from the near to the far, starting from within, and taking ourselves forward, taking everybody else forward, trying to widen ourselves to understand that each of us represents a certain aspect. Each individual is a universe unto himself. So he is actually representing a very interesting experiment that the Mother is probably working out through each of us. So it is our bounden duty to step forward and express, I think, very sincerely, give ourselves that time to be ourselves. Any collective is a collection of individuals. It comes down ultimately to the individual. We can all talk of a nation, we can talk of a collectivity, we can talk of Asia, but ultimately it is us. So perhaps this sort of a collective aspiration that we're trying to express now is a movement in that direction which makes us much, much more aware, much, much more conscious, and sincerely be Mother's children.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Listening to both of you, as you said, in the Unity Pavilion, about unity, about the world unity, and that too in the Universal Township of Auroville. I think both of them must have taken part in building the Matri Mandir, means when the Matri Mandir was being built, and yes, this was created. So it is really very special to have both of you in this session. We are thankful to you. May I request the Secretary, Auroville Foundation, Dr. Srimati Jayanti Ravi Madam, to please felicitate our speakers with mementos.